Go to our Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line. Say hello to the congressman from Tennessee, our good friend, Congressman Matt Van Epps. Congressman, I hope you're doing well. Great to have you on the show today.
Hey, Todd, thank you so much for having me on. Having a great day, and what an incredible day yesterday was.
You know, it was pretty spectacular. Of course, most of the Tennessee congressional delegation was there with President Trump at the big Make America Safe Again roundtable. And I understand, before we jump into it, I understand that you and the other lawmakers were actually invited to join the president and fly in from Mar-a-Lago.
So I joined. There was a couple that came in from Mar-a-Lago. I actually joined in Memphis and flew with the president back to D.C. And Todd, let me tell you, what a just pinch me moment, just incredible. We got on Air Force One before the president. He went out and toured Graceland, and he said was a great tour and just really enjoyed it. But we got on before he got on. We did take a lot of pictures, and but they gave us a tour of the full plane. So we got to see the press area where staff is, and the president's office and his quarters, and then we got to talk to the pilots. It was, for somebody that was a helicopter pilot in the Army and just an aviation enthusiast, it was a very cool moment for me, and one I will absolutely never forget.
Was that your first time on the Air Force One?
First time on Air Force One, and and so They put the delegation in the president's part of the plane, but it was in the conference room and then where senior staff is. And so it was really nice. They had lunch ready for us, and right as we had sat down, they announced, hey, the president will be here in 5 minutes, and then the president is boarding. And as we were taking off, the president came into the conference room, and he sat down with us, and we just talked for a good while. And then I think he had some other business to do and went back to his office. And then it was just, that part of it was really cool. And then he also had us come back into his office and talk to him there too. I mean, just a very cool experience.
Well, so I'm curious about the meal here, Congressman, because I fly
Yeah.
I fly first class on Delta a lot, and we're lucky to get the biscuit cookies there. What was lunch like for you guys? Did they roll out the red carpet?
They sure did, and let me tell you, as an Army guy, sometimes it's hard for me to talk favorably about my Air Force colleagues. But listen, the Air Force is amazing, and Air Force One is incredible. They had a really nice kind of box lunch ready for us with really good food, and brought us some Diet Cokes, and just took care of us. They had the presidential M&Ms too, so I took a couple of boxes of those, one for my daughter, and to hang on to one. So just a really good, I mean, just world class folks. The Air Force were so kind. President's staff was so kind, and they just got us settled, and was a really special time.
You see, I was begging to hitch a ride, but they said it was full, so I got bumped because of you guys, Congressman. Thank you for that. Really appreciate
Hopefully
it.
next time. Hopefully next time, Todd.
By
Yeah.
the way, I'm just curious. So, how long was the TSA wait line for you to get on board Air Force One?
Well, our wait was like the wait that everyone should have, because we were direct onto the plane, and the Secret Service and the Air Force One folks made it really easy for us, and that's what we should have. The Democrats need to fund DHS, and that's a whole separate topic. But they were very accommodating for us and got us through quick.
Well, no, I'm glad to hear that, and I do want to get to Memphis in just a moment. But on that issue, the fact of the matter is, ICE, the president dispatched ICE to 14 airports around the country, and it's our understanding wait lines have all but disappeared. But again, they wouldn't have to be there if the Democrats would just fund Homeland Security.
That's right. And this president, he's a leader, and he sees these creative solutions, and hey, let's deploy. It was his idea. Let's deploy the ICE and Border Patrol to help with, not with the screening part, but with security around the airport, so that more TSA personnel can do the screening and focus on that part of the mission that is critically important. And the president sees these solutions, but he shouldn't have to do that, because we have obstructionist Democrats who are putting illegal aliens in front of the safety of America, and that's unacceptable. They've got to fund Homeland Security at the the full amount and ensure that all of these folks who are not getting paid right now, that are protecting our homeland, who are just great professionals, get the paychecks that they deserve because they have very important jobs keeping our country safe.
Mm. Congressman Matt Van Epps from Tennessee joining us today on the show. Congressman, back to Memphis. I'm just curious to hear your overall thoughts about how quickly things have changed for the better in the what was once the largest city in Tennessee.
Well, and Memphis is just an amazing city, and with rich history and great culture, and it's a wonderful place. But as you've noted, it had the highest in 2024 had the highest rate of violent crime per capita, with elevated rates for murder and robbery, aggravated assault, property crime, you name it. And just in the last 6 months, with the Memphis Safe Task Force going into place, and we're talking about 22 federal agencies, state and local police, 1,500 members of just the incredible National Guard. We've seen just historic drops in crime, 27% decrease in overall, 26% decrease in murders, 48% decrease in carjackings. The numbers go on, and I think the other statistic that was talked about yesterday at the event is that crime is at a 120-year low because of this collaborative effort led by the president, supported by Governor Lee, and all of these just amazing law enforcement professionals. And Todd, I mean, we were there together, and to see just the crowd of those law enforcement professionals, the outpouring of support, all of the people that are working to make America safe again, to make Memphis safe again. I mean, it was humbling and incredible to see, and I'm just so glad to play a very little part in that.
It's interesting. The mayor of Memphis was not there. The police chief of Memphis was not there. The county mayor, all Democrats, by the way, were not there. And it just seems to me that if nothing else, they ought to be thanking President Trump because they've gotten over 7,000 very dangerous people off the streets. They found just well over 100 kids that have been missing. I don't understand why people are out there protesting when they ought to be celebrating and thanking the president for what he did.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a president who means what he says, who sees these hard problems that have not had solutions before, and he takes a very smart and creative approach to getting this done. It started in D.C., and what was a very great operation in D.C. was replicated. And Memphis is such a good example of the National Guard, the Memphis Police Department, ICE, CBP, ATF, DEA, Homeland Security, the Marshals, Tennessee Highway Patrol. The list goes on of these professionals who have come together to solve this really hard problem, and they're continuing to solve it today. And I think this president deserves so much credit in driving this solution, not just here, but I think the other thing is, very importantly, this is a framework example for what we can do across the country, success that's happening elsewhere in the country. It's something, as I sit on the Homeland Security Committee, that I've brought up and talked about just as a great example of the Memphis Safe Task Force being that element and that team that provides an example for how we can operate across the country.
I just think that's terrific. Well, Congressman, it's just an honor to have you on the show. Great to see you yesterday in the crowd. That was a lot of fun. Great to see all sorts of folks here you don't normally see, kind of like a family reunion.
It was a great family reunion, and Todd, so good to see you. Really appreciate being on today, and just very grateful for all the work that you do.
All right, Congressman Matt Van Epps from Tennessee.